Beltone Hearing Aid Center presents The Drive.
Ready?
The Drive.
Elmore deep, left side three is good! From 30 feet, John Elmore!
The Drive with Paul Swann.
Welcome into the Wednesday, December 12th edition. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. We're here this hour to get you ready for Marshall and South Florida and the Gasparilla Bowl. That's coming up next week. We had a chance to catch up with a few of the guys. We're going to hear from them a little bit later on. Plus, we'll get your phone calls in, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. We got a busy day. I know we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but it feels like it's been blowing up a little bit more. The whole idea of expanding the college football playoff, which I don't see happening anytime soon, and I'll tell you why. Because where does it benefit the power schools? Ultimately, at the end of the day, the whole college football playoff was invented to serve their needs. And that's it. Nothing more. Nothing else other than to serve their needs. The Power 5 schools aren't interested in, hey, here's a school that's not in our little cabal, and they're worthy of getting a shot at maybe competing for the mythical national championship. So, why do they care? So the committee, they'll go through their processes, come up with the reasons why, and if you expand the college football playoff to 8 teams, maybe you have 5 conference champions and you have 3 at-larges, well, then there's just 3 more opportunities to deny, say, UCF and getting into the playoff. I think you have to have a system where if you want to make this equitable as possible, you take, 1, the champions from the Power 5. You don't see my air quotes here. The Power 5. 2, you then take the best of the group of 5. You want to call them that. Highest ranked team. The team that's got the highest RPI, whatever metric you want to use, whatever, highest index score, anything you want to measure. So UCF would be that team. Okay, they get the automatic bid. Then you have a play-in system. I think you need to have those other 2 slots. You want to have a play-in system, and then you take the other group of 5 conference champions, and they have to play in. So really, it's an early first round. That way, everybody who's a conference champion gets a shot at this. Instead of having 10 conference champions all compete against each other, I'll concede that you take the group of 5 schools and then you have a little mini playoff for them. And then you reseed everybody. Okay? I think that's fair. Not going to happen. And that's just my idea. And I'm pretty sure nobody would entertain that because, well, why would a playoff work in college football? After all, that playoff for then 1AA, the football championship subdivision, those 1AA schools, it seems to work for them. It seems to work for them. Why not have a championship structure and a playoff format? Then you get a few extra teams in. But of course, we've got to go through the bowl hierarchy. The bowls are part of the reason why this isn't going to happen. You had to find a way to incorporate the bowls into your playoff system. Your 4, then 2. So here's an opportunity to get a rotation. It's an invitational. That's what it is. I'm going to start going with that. This is an invitational. We got some exciting college football coming up. These games mean a lot. You got the 4 supposedly best teams going at it, trying to play for a championship. But at the end of the day, it's an invitational. That's it. It's like the NIT. It's a national invitation for college football. That's it. We're inviting you to play. We have determined that you are the 4, in our minds, best teams. We're going to invite you to play. Central Florida is undefeated. Sorry. Man, that doesn't mean anything. You've gone back-to-back, and you're undefeated, but that doesn't mean anything. We've inched you up and you get to come into an Access Bowl. And that really used to be the thing. Hey, here it is. You guys get to play too. We're going to give you a cut of the money here, but you don't have a shot at this thing. No, make it open. If you're a Division I school, you should have an open shot at playing for a national championship. And there should be criteria. We can't just invite everybody. This isn't an open free-for-all. But I think the season matters. The season matters. Conference championships matter. So if you win your conference, you are locked in for a spot. And you know what? If you want to try to figure a way to have an at-large system, then all right, I'll do this for you. I'll concede that you might not want to have the Conference USA or the MAC champion going at this thing if they don't qualify. I think the play-in system works, but you gotta account for Notre Dame. And then other than to say, hey, Notre Dame, join a conference, that's not going to happen. That's fine. Have some at-larges if they qualify for an at-large. And now I would say they'd have to be really good to qualify for an at-large. So you want to have 8 slots? Okay, we'll give you 8 slots. One's got to be a guarantee for a group of 5. Guarantee, not a, if you're good enough, we'll invite you. No. Conference champion, best conference champion of the group of 5 gets an automatic. How that's determined, we'll all come up with a uniform ranking system. So we see that UCF is considered 9th best team in the country. Okay, that makes them the best team of the group of 5. They're conference champion. All right. Highest conference champion gets in. Then that leaves you 2 at-larges. I like the fact that, okay, you want to invite Notre Dame, they get an at-large spot. They don't get an automatic. They're an independent. They don't play in a conference, but if they're worthy, they get an at-large. If you want to go that route. I think the best way to do this, though, full-blown playoff. It's not going to happen. I can only dream. But it guarantees that everybody gets a fair shot at this. You know what? At that point, then you get 10 conference champions. Everybody's guaranteed. The conference champions guaranteed. 10 conference champions, then you've got 6 slots. 6 slots can be at-larges. So, hey, Notre Dame, you're good enough, you get an at-large. All right, Georgia, you messed up. You lost your conference championship game, but we think you're pretty good, so we're going to invite you. Hey, West Virginia. Hey, Texas. You know what? You guys messed up. But we think you're good enough. Come on in. It's a possibility that I don't think I'm going to see in my lifetime. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not a true national championship until it's open to everyone. And you've got a committee that's saying, okay, here's the 4 slots. We don't think we need to expand it right now, but if you open up to 8 slots, I think you got to guarantee a team like a Central Florida, best team from the group of 5, whatever you want to designate those schools, that's what you need to do. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear a little bit from earlier this afternoon, player interviews. We've got several guys. We're going to break down this game between Marshall and South Florida. We'll get your phone calls in later on as well. 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. More on the way. It's The Drive, presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Wednesday edition of The Drive, presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Had a chance to catch up with some of the guys earlier this afternoon, player interviews from today. We've got Ryan B. We're going to hear from Armani Lovias. We'll hear from Malik Gant. We'll hear from Isaiah Green, Chase Hancock. We got a few more for you as well. So all that's coming up, but I want to start with Jordon Dowrey. Jordon, he's a guy who he's putting everything into the student athlete aspect of his career. And he's a perfect guy to ask him, just kind of get a feel from him what the week's been like as far as just trying to get ready for finals preparation for the bowl game, all of that coming together. And here's what he had to say about that.
We've had a little bit of time to prepare a little bit ahead of time, so we're not overwhelmed by the preparation and finals. Finals keep you busy. There's a lot going on there, but the preparation is routine at this point, and we've already had a jump on them. We've had plenty of time to start working on them, so the coaches know more than we do at this point because we haven't watched as much film, but they've had plenty of time, and so they already know them really well. And so every chance we're in a meeting, every chance we're together and working on them, we have a really good plan of what we're going to do and how we're going to handle things.
So obviously, while the guys have been working on taking care of finals, classwork, things of that nature, you've got Marshall coaches who are poring over film, putting game plans together. I'm sure all that's pretty much installed now. Let's just get everybody on the same page. And so the last time we talked to Jordon Dowrey, just found out about the game a few days prior, really doesn't have that much of a understanding yet of the opponent, only because they haven't been preparing for the opponent. Now that they've had some time to prepare, to look at film, to game plan, I wanted to get his revised impression of USF, especially what he's going to have to deal with, that defensive front.
The biggest thing about their defensive front is it's going to be a lot of different fronts that they run. They do a lot of different things. They move people around, and they're an athletic front is the biggest thing I've noticed. They're athletic, and they will show you a lot of different looks, and that means we've got to prepare for all of the different things that they're going to do, and we're going to have to be able to move and stay on blocks well because they are athletic.
I was kind of curious also, now that he's had time to look him over a little bit, I just wanted to get a feel from him and some of the other guys as well when we were talking to these guys today. Want to get a feel for, hey, who's this team remind you of? So that was one of the questions that was asked of Jordon. Do they remind you of anyone? Here's his impressions of that.
I'm bad at remembering the specifics from a while back, but the biggest thing that I'm seeing is there's not a one big huge guy in the middle, and that makes them a little bit different. They're not a small front, but they don't have one of the big guys anchoring on the inside. So it's going to be interior wise. There's going to be more movement, that sort of thing. And we've played against a lot of teams that do that here and there. But I think they're going to be doing that a little bit more consistently than some other teams we've played.
Now, one of the fun aspects of Jordon Dowrey's position is he gets to see a lot of the up-close collision work, right? He gets to see a guy like Knox, who's emerged as one of the offensive threats for the Thundering Herd. So Jordon was asked about that, his growth, his development, just watching the emergence of Knox as he carries the ball.
Oh, that's been a lot of fun, and I've been excited for him to get his opportunity. And when he did, it wasn't a surprise that he played the way he did when he got when he started playing in Charlotte. But seeing him run like this is awesome. He's helped the offense improve. Is when filled that gap when we had some guys hurt, and him being as ready as he was to step up when he had that opportunity is awesome. And as a teammate, when you see a guy work really hard and do all the right things, you want to see them succeed. And when he got his chance, he was ready to go because of how he's gone to work and all those things. So I'm really happy for him. He's the kind of guy who you want to see do well.
Also, one aspect of Knox's game has been his pass protection. And here's what Jordon thought of that when asked.
As far as I can tell, he's done really well. It's not the aspect of protection that I spend a lot of time watching and looking at, but I know in every other aspect of his game, he's physical and plays really hard. So I've got no worries about him in the backfield.
Another question that was asked of Jordon, just is he fun to block for? Because, when Knox goes after you, he's one of your running back types that he's just going to bowl somebody over. He's just going to go through them. And Jordon gets a bird's eye view. I mean, he really gets actually a great look. And so it was asked, hey, is it just fun to block for this guy?
An O-lineman's mentality is not to avoid contact. And I know that a lot of times that's the better way to go when you've got the ball in your hand, avoid contact. And when you're quick enough to do it, I probably would if I were quick enough and had the ball in my hand. But I'm not. So if I've got the ball, I'm running through somebody, and that always gets me going when I see a guy lower their shoulder and just run through somebody. So all right, I might go down, but you are too. And that kind of attitude is fun for me. It's just tough football and that kind of thing. I like the way he runs the ball.
It's a good philosophy. That's a philosophy I'm going to adopt. If I can't go around you, I'm just going to go through you, right? I got to work on that, though. Sometimes it's better to go through. Sometimes it's better to go around. If you're Brandon Knox, you go through people. If you're Jordon Dowrey, you got to go through people because you can't move and get around them. On the defensive side, Ryan B., he's going to have his hands full, of course. And Ryan, one of those guys, you're not going to see much of him after it's all said and done, at least in a Herd uniform, because, well, he's going to be hopefully doing other things. His career's wrapping up. But before we talk about that with Ryan, I want to get his revised impression of that USF offensive line.
They're a tremendous team. They got their offensive lines. They're big. They're athletic. They can move. Like quarterback. He's a guy he'll run it just as well as he passes it. He's kind of like the Virginia Tech guy. Very mobile. He'll get out of the pocket and run the ball just as much as he passes it. And then the running backs are tremendous. Like they're looking at like the stat sheet or whatever. They're like 5'5" and 5'11s, but they're quick, shifty guys. So they'll be just another challenge to get them on the ground.
Same question I had of Jordon to Ryan. Just kind of get a feel for, hey, do these guys remind you of anyone?
As far as running back, I'd say, Singletary from FAU is just a great running back. He's good as what he does, and they are too. So, like I said, it's just another challenge.
Speaking of challenge, Thundering Herd's been pretty good stopping the run. That's been where they've been able to have some success. Now, you look at USF, they're going to come at you, they're going to run. That seems to be a strong place for them. So, question to Ryan was, how's that going to be? How fun is that going to be? Because you got strength on strength. You guys good at stopping the run. They like to run. So what's that going to be like for you? How fun is that going to be?
Yeah, that's kind of what we hung our hat on this season is, our run defense. And it's I guess a good matchup because they like to run the ball. We like to try and stop the run. So it'll be fun to watch.
And finally, talking to Ryan, we've had an opportunity over the last year more so. He's been a guy we talk to on Tuesdays. So it's not one of those situations where most of the media are there. We're not rushed with him. So you get to know this guy and just want to kind of get a feel from him as the days are getting closer and closer to the game, as his career at Marshall is coming to a conclusion. What's he feeling? What's he going through as we're right there at the end of his career, at least at Marshall?
Yeah, it's a bittersweet feeling. It's nice to be done. Oh, almost done, not done yet, but it's nice to be finishing up. But kind of bitter at the same time. Because I'm actually yesterday I started packing up my stuff to move out of my house. So it's kind of sad. I don't want to. I'm not ready. I'm ready and not ready to leave. I don't know how to explain it, but it's definitely a bittersweet feeling.
Yeah, I can feel that. I can see that because you kind of get melancholy a little bit. You're changing. Change is always a different feeling because you get so accustomed to being in one spot. Some people, it's very melancholy for them. Others, they can't wait to get out, depending on their situation. But it sounds like it's really bittersweet. I think that's a great way to describe it for Ryan because, one hand you're moving on, the other hand you're moving on, and that's kind of a time to reflect. So that's Jordon and Ryan. We've got others we're going to get to. We're going to break this one down a little bit more. We'll get your phone calls in at 877-420-8255. That is 877-420-TALK. I'm Paul Swann. You're listening to The Drive, presented by Belltone Hearing Aid Center, and you're listening to it on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 and online at WRVC.com.
Now, back to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We've got player interviews from earlier this afternoon over at Jones C. Edwards Stadium. The team getting ready to take on South Florida in the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. You know, the pick on the game right now might be swinging towards Marshall. If you look at ESPN's confidence pool players, they're going with USF right now. Why? Because maybe they think South Florida is a bigger name. They're more familiar with the Bulls right now. That could be true. But if you look at the FPI and the S&P Plus metrics, guess what? Marshall is winning that battle. You got a team in South Florida. They've lost 5 straight. And 3 of their last 4 games, they didn't even get to 20 points. So Marshall's got an advantage there because Marshall's not going to score in bunches, according to the report on the confidence of the bowl picks. But at the same time, Thundering Herd is rated high for having what is considered an elite top 15 defense to go up against that South Florida offense. And you got Blake Barnett as one of the bright spots for South Florida, the quarterback. And you got the running back, Jordon Dowrey. But nobody's excited about anything else that South Florida offers right now. So that's kind of the impression going on with Marshall and South Florida. But I'm concerned about the impression that Marshall football players have right now. And Armani Levias, one of the guys we got a chance to talk to, and just want to get his impression. I don't want the expert's impression. I want his impression on South Florida.
They just another team that we going to play. Any team we play, I believe we can beat anyone. And as long as we do the little things and play for each other, we're going to win regardless of who we play. You know, they might be a good team, but at the end of the day, it's a team. We're going to have fun, and we're going to keep this streak going.
There's another team. Just another team. That's your breakdown from Levias. But I wanted to know a little bit more. So, again, we're kind of trying to find out, hey, who's these guys remind you of? You guys have faced enough teams now. Kind of give us an analog, who they remind you of. And so when we asked him that question, this is what we got.
I'd say they like an NC State because they are bigger up front. So it's like we got to go back to when we play NC State just to watch a few things, how we handle the bigger ends and the linebackers, and they go from there.
One question that was asked, what's the reason for the improved tight end play? And he broke it down simply by saying, coach.
Our coach, Coach Goebel, you know, we started as the afterthought because we didn't have as much sweat equity as the coaches say. In each game we progressed, and the OC started believing us more, and we just started connected better with the quarterbacks, Isaiah and Alex. So when, like my coach said, put good stuff on tape, so we continue to put good stuff on tape, and building that trust between the OC and the quarterback.
And finally, question was asked of Levias, just kind of give an evaluation on that matchup, that tight end defense matchup with South Florida.
They smaller and we bigger. We just as athletic as them. Plus we bigger, so we got the edge. And we most of the time we gonna be the more athletic team stepping on that field every time. And I believe in our guys, and we gonna put in the work to get better. And come Thursday, we come out with the win.
Moving on, we got Chase Hancock. Now, Chase we talked to last week. Chase is just a cool cat. When he comes in, he's just chilling with us. And I asked him early, just give me a reevaluation of South Florida. And he basically said, hey, everything I said last week? That's my evaluation. That didn't hold. So the reporter from Channel 13 is like, hey, I wasn't here last week. So what's your evaluation of South Florida? Here's Chase Hancock.
The offensive line, they do a good job of, opening up holes. I noticed that, you could drive a truck through them. So, that explains why the running backs are doing so well. The running backs, they run hard. They'll lose ground to gain ground. The quarterback, he does a good job, and he'll run if he has to. So, the whole offense is a good offense, and we really have to lock in and just everybody just do their job.
Now, Chase, he's a guy that's got a lot on his plate, like a lot of these guys. So the question was asked of him, hey, how you doing this now? You're going through this is a pretty big week here. You got the bowl game, you got finals, everything. This is sort of a pressure-packed week for you.
Oh, it has been between finals and then graduation, and then right after graduation we go to practice, and then we fly out the next day to go to the bowl. But like our chaplain says, you were built for this. So we've been preparing for this, and now I'm ready.
Now, there have been some suggestions that quarterback situation's not firm just yet at South Florida. So Chase was asked to sort of evaluate that situation with the quarterback, what there looks like. If they rotate quarterbacks in, what kind of looks they're going to get with different quarterbacks. So here's Chase's evaluation of what this team looks like with and without Blake Barnett.
Well, I noticed that they rotate quarterbacks here and there. And when you watch the film, they've got different quarterbacks, and I think they bring a different aspect to every game. Some of them like to run a little bit more. I don't know what they'll have in store for us, but I do know that they are all capable and they are all threats to us. So we have to keep that in consideration as we prepare for them this week.
So that's Chase Hancock. When we come back from break, we're going to hear from Isaiah Green, get his thoughts on the game. He breaks it down a little bit more for us. Also, we will get your phone calls in at 877-420-TALK. That's 877-420-8255. It's The Drive, presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann, presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Wednesday edition. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Just a reminder, if you find yourself not able to listen to the show live, we've got you covered. All you have to do is go to Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio. We're on TuneIn, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, is what I'm saying. You got someplace you get podcasts, you can get us there. And if you can't, let them know you want to hear the show. But Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, those are kind of my favorites to go to. Also, TuneIn is great. And, of course, Spotify. Everyone's got Spotify. So that's where we're at as well. I don't know if he's going to skip the bowl or not, but Darrell Henderson from Memphis, he said that he is leaving after his junior season. So he shares his decision, of course, on the social media platform of choice for I guess, awareness, press conferences, I want to get that announcement out. I'm just going to throw it out there on Twitter. And so he throws it out on Twitter today, says he's going to be forever grateful for Memphis giving him the opportunity to chase his NFL dream. Still no word yet if he's going to play in the bowl game. Would you blame him if he didn't? The bowl game is the Birmingham Bowl on December 22nd. The opponent is Wake Forest. Now, I'm not saying Memphis is that much better than Wake Forest, but are you getting excited for Wake Forest? Does that excite you? You wake up and you look on TV, you plan your day, like, what am I going to do today? What am I going to watch? You scan the dial, it's the 22nd, you're looking for something, and you go, hey, I'm going to watch the Birmingham Bowl with Memphis play Wake Forest. No, I don't think you're going to do that. So would you blame him if he left? I wouldn't. One guy that's not leaving because, well, he's got a few more years, Isaiah Green, head quarterback, guy in charge of the Thundering Herd offense. One question I asked him before we get to his audio cuts is I kind of want to get an idea of who this team reminded him of. And he said scheme-wise it was UTSA. So UTSA is the team that reminds him of South Florida. But I just want to get his impressions. Hey, Isaiah Green, break down South Florida for me.
They play a lot of guys on the D-line. Don't have a lot of big guys, more speed and, kind of build and stuff like that. But, yeah, they play a lot of guys on the D-line. They rotate in and out. They got some long defensive ends, 6'4" kid, 6'2" kid. They kind of light in the secondary, They got a corner playing at 168. 5'11" safety, so that's just small things I take away from that. And they play a lot of man too, almost 50% of the time. So that's just a couple things we took away so far.
Question, not really a question, just want to get his thoughts. He points out they're 50% man, and they got a corner that's 5'11". You know he's salivating right now.
I just feel like that should be a good advantage for us, having a big, strong receivers on the outside. Them having those kind of small defensive backs. That should be an advantage for us.
Now, as a young guy, you hope that things improve as the season goes along. I think we saw that with Isaiah, and there's still a lot to go for him before he's up there with the best of the best when it comes to Marshall quarterbacks. But yeah, here's Green on just how everything's improved with him, the wide receivers, and it seems to have picked up. He's got more options now, and he's able to find more options.
I would say, just me being young to start off, not really going all the way through progressions, more like maybe looking at the first two guys and getting out of there. Like, just over time, I just get more and more comfortable to sit in there and step up this way, step up that way, then make a pass, instead of just stepping up one way and running out of there and try to make something happen that way. So I say, yeah, it's probably just more of me just going through my progressions, trying to find everybody.
Also, One guy that's really had some improvement, and you saw that a little bit more at the Virginia Tech game especially, Xavier Gaines. Here's Green's thoughts on him.
Yeah, that was big for him because X really has the potential to like be a dynamic threat with the speed and like big physique that he possesses. You know, if we can get him going, it's hard for safeties and corners to even guard him. So I could imagine linebackers trying to guard him. So if we get him going and keep Armani going, it's gonna be big for us.
Now on this South Florida defense, it was brought up to Isaiah that they're a more athletic defense. They're giving up some size to be more athletic. So they're a smaller unit out there. And here's Isaiah's impressions on that.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely have to use that to our advantage, you know. We got Tyree on the outside, OB on the outside. We got Armani and X at the tight end spots, both of them big guys, you know, working against smaller people. So I feel like we got a lot of opportunities that we gonna have to make plays, like big plays down the field, you know, big possession catches by the tight ends, you know, and even Marcel and Artie, you know, with the man coverage that they play, those guys got some speed too, you know. So I just feel like we got a lot of matchups all over the place that we can go to.
One matchup you didn't hear him talk about, we brought it up to him. You got that big boy who's going to be able to bowl over people, and Brandon Knox. And it was asked of Isaiah, you know, Knox against that South Florida defense, him being successful, is that going to set the tone for this game?
Yeah, that definitely plays a big part in the offense now because, you know, I know teams watching Knox on film is like, man, this kid is physical. Like, we got to find a way to stop him. So when you start worrying too much about him, that's when you just open up more lanes for everything else.
You run the pass, and you got a kid who can run, so you run the pass. Now, one question that was asked of Isaiah was just from his vantage point. Now, he's got a great view. He's the quarterback. He can see things happen. He can see things open up. And so, from his point of view, his vantage point, what's it like just seeing Knox run and you get your block set up, you get everything right, and you get to see a situation where it's just him. He's one-on-one with somebody. And here's Isaiah's overview of that.
I hope he's not about to get ran over. Because Knox, every time he touches the ball, if he one-on-one, he trying to put the boom down on anybody that get in his way. So I just feel bad for anybody that's in that situation. Because I done personally watched Knox put 500, 600 pounds on his back and just do it like it's nothing. So I just know that anybody that get in his way, he gonna definitely make them feel him.
500, 600 pounds, just carry fools, right? It's kind of fun to see those guys try to stop him. And Isaiah talked about also, when we were with him earlier, about that energy. When he sees Knox just go out there and run over players, what does that do for this team? How does that energize this team?
It just brings a whole different kind of juice, you know. Like, not even just the offense, you can feel it from the sideline. Like, every time he just run somebody over and make a big run and finish with running the corner over down the sideline like he did VTech. Like, you could just feel the whole sideline just get amped, and it just give us like an extra boost, you know.
Yeah, it's fun. You see Knox go out there and just run somebody over. That's always fun. You get a solid running game, and that opens up the passing game. Of course, we'll hear from Doc Holliday on Friday. We'll get a coach's perspective on this matchup as we are a week away. We are a week away. A week from tomorrow, Marshall's going to be playing in the Bad Boy Motors Gasparilla Bowl. Thundering Herd is going to be leaving later this week. Of course, graduation, commencement is going to take place this weekend. And then the team's off to get ready to play in Florida. So we're going to have that game for you right here. right here, of course, is ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Also on our sister station, 93.7 The Dog. You know, tomorrow on the program, we're going to get into a little bit more of this game. Also, kind of give you an idea of what the Bulls are doing as far as the swag bag. That's right, we're going to go over the swag bags once again. All I know is Camping World Bowl, you get $400 Best Buy gift card. I can make that happen. That would be good for me. For Marshall and the Bad Boy Motors Gasparilla Bowl, get a gift suite. That's it, a gift suite. I don't know the details of the gift suite. It's just a gift suite. Kids like that. For Gabriel Sellers, I'm Paul Swann. No gift suite for us here on the program. We need to work on that. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Huntington Sports Station.